Ladies and gentlemen and ladies, welcome to another week, another episode of the Medicine Ball Podcast. You could have chosen to spend your time anywhere. You rock with me today. Thank you. I never take that lightly. Before we get into it, let my beat drop. Yes, that's right. Welcome to Medicine Ball with your boy LS3 to be exact. And if you ain't in shape, at least your brain should be. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Medicine Ball Podcast, where we focus on giving your brain a six-pack by exercising your mind. Now, exercising your mind means that you actively think about and deal with all situations by first seeking to do anything other than what you are normally programmed and or comfortable in doing. Now, if you're someone who struggles and wants to get better at thinking about things beforehand, as opposed to reacting in ways that require less effort, well, just like anything you want to get better at, it does require training, practice, and work. Now, I'm well aware that thinking about things beforehand as opposed to responding off instinct does require effort. And who doesn't prefer things that are easy? Well, the first step, my friends, can be very easy, and that's to begin to look at all things from an unbiased point of view, which in itself will increase your curiosity in life. Now, exercising your mind won't give you all the answers. You will, however, begin to look at things with more peace, understanding, and patience, while simultaneously equipping yourself with more tools and strategies to help you effectively deal with this thing called life. Now, before we go any further, I'm no doctor, no psychiatrist, no psychologist. I have, however, been diagnosed with bipolar disorder level 1 for 16 years. And to be honest, I got to a point in my life where I was looking at the person I was becoming versus the person I wanted to be. And that, among other things, required me to look at my mental health responsibly. So whether or not you're diagnosed or know someone who's diagnosed or have symptoms or just want to know more about it, it doesn't matter. Maybe you're one of the many people who could just use some tips, tricks, and different ideas to help you get through day-to-day life. Pull up a seat, kick up your feet. This is your family, man. Welcome home, no judgment zone. This week's episode 409, PR. That's right, PR. Let's go. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen and ladies, to another week, another episode of the Medicine Ball Podcast. I'm going to touch on some quick announcements. So, I did release my first YouTube video to the Medicine Ball Podcast. You could go check it out. My YouTube is going to be included in the show notes, but it's Lorenzo Scott III. Lorenzo Scott in 3 eyes, rather. And the reason I did that is for branding reasons, because I want to have more than just the podcast on my channel. I'm going to add Mamba. Side note, go follow my man Mamba at Instagram right now. At that guy Mamba. But he's also going to have videos under my YouTube, and it's going to allow me to talk about other things outside of just the mental health atmosphere. So my previous guest, actually, who's like a YouTube veteran, was just giving me some insight on that. But nevertheless, this episode isn't going to be in video form. I have a lot of things going on personally, unfortunately, and I don't want to expose too much of my family business, but I did have a murder that happened in my family about 3 days ago. So it's been uneasy trying to, just fill out the vibe with that. Deal with some things in my personal life, and I want to make sure that I give you guys the best content. Plus, I'm updating some things with my branding, my colors, and my marketing, and all that good stuff. So I'm going to try to do it at every other podcast thing. I already know what my next podcast is going to be in reference to. I already know exactly what the theme is and all of that good stuff. So, plus your boy want to get shaped up a little bit, make sure I'm presentable, right? But that will be available next week. Follow me. I shouted out Mamba. Follow me as well. And I leave all this in the show notes, but you can follow me at Medicine Ball LS and the number 3 on Instagram, Facebook, and all that good stuff. I leave all of this in the show notes or the show description. Please make sure you do that. Merchandise on the way. I'm working on getting a bulk order without giving too much information on that. It is on the way. So, organizing the shop and all of that is on the way, guys. All right. And I wanted to let you guys know that the podcast will be moving to Saturdays. So if anybody's, been like, well, hey, what's up with the Friday updates? Why are we not dropping on Friday? It's moving to Saturdays. It's just giving me an ability to continue to work, be efficient, and provide the best content without burning myself out with, life. All right. All right. Let's get into this week's episode 409, PR. PR stands for personal responsibility. So I pose this question, right? So say you just, you're at home, and you get a ring on your doorbell. Most of us have Ring cameras or some type of notification or alert. And you go to look, you look at your phone, you look at your ring, you don't see anybody there. You go answer the door, and there's a baby on your doorstep. Now, it's not your fault that that baby's there. You didn't do anything to get that baby there. It's not your baby. And we're thinking hypothetically, right? So, like, you didn't do anything to make you even think that you would have a child. You didn't ask for it. You didn't call the stork or anything like that. It's a baby. What are you going to do? Do you just shut the door and be like, oh, man, not my baby. I ain't got nothing to do with it. I didn't ask it. I got my own problems going on. 9 times out of 10, if you got a heart, you're going to, like, instinct's going to kick in, male or female. You're going to at least bring the baby into your home. And even if you call the cops, for that time, you're going to take care of that baby. That baby is your responsibility. Let me give you another scenario. You're driving, you're in Atlanta where I'm at, just sitting in this traffic, following the law, sitting up straight, not on your phone. Boom, somebody hits you from behind. Now, you have insurance, but you might be wanting to get home. It's not your fault that they hit you per se, right? Hypothetically, we're talking that you did everything right. You have insurance, but you didn't do anything wrong. You didn't ask to get hit. You don't want to be held up. Are you going to just drive off? No, you're going to pull over to the side of the road and hope the other person does. And you're going to take responsibility at that time because there's still things you need to do to file an insurance claim. Personal responsibility. That's what we're talking about today. And I'm going to give y'all another acronym that we're going to hear a lot. And that's CTC. Not cut the check. Even though I wish, I feel y'all. But it's not cut the check. Control the controllables. Now, this is something we kind of touched on the whole season, really, on 4. Focus on your reaction, emotional discipline, suit yourself. This is something we've always been talking about, but control the controllables. Personal responsibility, and let's dive a little bit deeper into that, and let's get it going. So the first thing I kind of want to touch on is, we just said control the controllables, right? So let's talk about control and a little bit more about control power. And more specifically, when it comes to the things that happen in our lives. And I spoke on this in our previous podcast. So I just think I know it ties in well with this personal responsibility thing. When you feel like things that are happening to you and in your life are happening and you have no control over them, it becomes easier to blame other people. And when you blame others, you're giving that other person or that other situation the control over something in your life. Follow me here, right? It behooves you to see in all these type of situations where you feel like something isn't going to, the way you want it. What about that situation can you control? Because that gives you a sense of power. When you don't have that, or you don't accept any type of accountability, and, I need to do more studying on it, obviously, to elaborate deeper. But it's just like you're not able to see anything that you can do to change the outcome, right? So if you're bad at managing money, right? And I see this all the time. People are always like, yo, if I just, like, man, I'm going to talk about something that's legit right now. Tax returns, right? Listen, man, I don't have no kids, right? And I do things the legit way, right? Even when they had the PPP loan going, when everybody took advantage of it, it wasn't until like after the PPP loan I realized, like, bro, the way that you're running your business, you're legitimately eligible. But that's another story. But tax returns, right? Man, I'm seeing some crazy numbers. And when I tell you crazy numbers, and again, it's a mindset thing, right? $10,000 is a crazy number to me. $6,000 is a crazy number to me. Now, mind you, I'm single and I'm unmarried. You know what I mean? I make decent money. I get back a little something, but like I'm seeing people like $10,000. Now, mind you, I have a different mindset when it comes to money than the average person. On a religious level, spiritual level, right? And like a common sense level. The first thing is like the spiritual level. It's about tithing, right? It's about can you be faithful with the little before you're rewarded with the lot? Now, I'm not saying that means that just like the good people who are good with money get blessed with money, but it's just like you look at money differently. Matter of fact, I saw this yesterday. Somebody said that like, and they were relating it to scripture and serving two masters. They were saying like people who aren't real believers, they like worship money. People who are believers, they don't worship money. They worship God, but they realize money is a tool, right? So I realize this too, but all this to say, man, $10,000. I'm seeing $13,000. I'm seeing $15,000. I don't know if people is just capping online or whatnot, but it's just like, bro, you getting this every year? So I'm automatically a businessman, right? I'm like, yo, with $10,000, you can boom, get your LLC, boom, 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 boom. Like just like so much things, crypto. You don't even gotta go crypto. You can invest in traditional stocks, bonds, investments, savings account, anything. And like, I hear people, and these are not people. These is just like incoming and going, and just like conversations I hear whatnot. They be blowing this joint. Not only do they blow it in like 4 or 5 months. And to me, that's unfathomable. Where a person like me, and I'm not bragging. It's just a mindset thing. I do my taxes. I see what my return is. And then I forget about that joint. 9 times out of 10, like my refunds be hitting like it's just a random check. You feel what I'm saying? So it's just like, I guess I look at it different, but it's just like, bro, if I just got hit with $10,000, do you know what you could do with that? Like, these are people who live in a, and I'm not judging nobody. I'm just, we're talking about personal responsibility, right? But it's just like, these are the same people who'll be like, yo, if I just had $5 million, I'd be straight. And I used to be one of those people, and it took me to realize, bro, if you're not good with $500, you're not going to be good with $5,000. If you're not good with $5,000, you're not going to be good with $50,000. If you're not good, and so forth and so on, because it's just like, bro, when you're a millionaire, you got different problems. Like, you know, your little insurance bill and whatever you paying now is one thing, but when you get that super Lamborghini and you got 2 or 3 cars and your insurance bill be like $12,000, right? And you got phones and you the cash cow because you know once you got the king got all the gold, you're a person people depend on. So now you got all of this money, and then what do you even do with it? Like, you don't even know what to do with it. You got to invest that joint and keep the money coming back. If you just keep spending from it, right, which is like what a majority of us are, you're not going to do nothing but blow that money. Like, and it be in our face. Lottery winners, you don't hear too many lottery winners that like win the lottery and be straight. They be broke, dead, or in jail. And it's an accountability thing. And it's like, unless you're able to take personal responsibility for the things that you can control, CTC, control the controllables, you're never going to see this, right? So let's talk about accountability, man. So like when it comes to control and power, accountability is the currency. And the way that I'm going to go through these 3 things, because there's a ton of them, but I'm only going to give you 3, is I'm going to give them to you like at the same time as I'm giving you an example of how they can work against you. Accountability allows you to look at yourself, find weaknesses, and once you can identify a weakness, or once you can identify something that you can do better, you could do something about it. Now, whether or not what you do about it is successful or whatnot is action. Because what happens is if you lack accountability and you're putting the blame or you're putting the reason of an outcome on somebody other than yourself, and that person isn't available at the time, you freeze up. You freeze up because you're not putting anything on yourself. You don't see as any action you could take, so you don't take any action. So accountability is the currency for control. Now let's get into it, man. So number 1, to become more personal responsible, or the thing that a lot of people who aren't personally responsible lack, is a set of morals or a set of guidelines or a set of standards or a set of rules or a set of principles that they have that they abide by. That's number 1. You have to have, now, y'all know me, I'm going to keep it with the scripture. The scripture got a good list of commandments, and really is much more than that of things that you can abide by. Now, it gets deeper on the spiritual realm because it starts to get into the understanding or idea of you like not being of this world. Because a majority of people, when you just like, yo, just let them have it or give them a pass, they got limits. And me personally, and this goes back to what we're talking about, rules and things, I make it my business to make sure that I'm willing to push further than the person with the most patience or the most limits. So when the most patient person is like, nah, you just gonna have to let them have it, I'm just determined to take one more step. Now, let me give you another example because I'm gonna stack all three of these things together, right? Social media. I'm a single guy now, right? That's another story we'll talk about if you've been following the podcast. We're not gonna get into that, but follow me. Like, if I'm on social media and I see a young woman who posts something and I want to add them as a friend, I'm gonna keep it real with you. First thing I do is I go to their page, I scroll down, I see if they're in a relationship. If that joint say anything other than single, I'm not adding them. So if it's missing, I'm not even gonna add them. Why? If you're married or in a relationship, you don't need no friends. Like, I don't like it. And mind you, like, I ain't trying to be like controlling, but it's just like, what you need a bunch of male friends for? You know what I'm saying? I'm your best friend if you was my girl. But anyway, but it's just like, why even go into that boat? And usually these morals and these principles that you have align with other things. So I got a spiritual, you know what I'm saying, morale that I'm trying to walk with. If I'm trying to stay away from the flesh, and if I'm trying to stay away from just like pointless sex and things of that nature, if I'm trying to stay away, especially from messing with somebody else's, like, and I understand, and it's just an understanding, bro, like, men they will kill you over their woman, like, quicker than you doing something to their mama nowadays. And that's a whole nother story, but it's just like, why do you need that strife? I can even take it to another level. Even if I did want to reach out to this woman and say we were talking and I see you in a relationship and you willing to holler at me, personal responsibility. I shouldn't be posting on Facebook in 2 years talking about, oh, all women ain't nothing. They'll cheat on you. Da, da, da. Why? That's on me, but I'm going to hold up because we're going to build on that. Personal responsibility has these sets of rules, morals, and principles. I could take it to work. I work from home. I'm just a common sense, disciplined guy, bro. If I work from home, I'll be darned if I'm going to be late when I got to take 20 paces to get to where I work. Like, I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm a dude. We all get up and got to use a restroom in the morning. Bro, I use the restroom. I wash my hands, control, alt, delete. Like, and I'm a manager now. And some of my people listen to this, but it's just, I don't get it. And all of us we don't live in no mansion. So it ain't like your computer is all the way in your business suite on the opposite side, 500 paces away. How are you an hour late? When like, I ain't even gonna go on a rant, but it's just like, I refuse. Furthermore, I realized that the systems we was using after I took personal responsibility and was like, yo, I'm gonna get the fastest internet I could possibly purchase. Boom. All right, cool. I've done everything I can do. Oh, the system's still slow. Noted. I'm not gonna wait 5 minutes to try to log in. 30 minutes. I'm at the crib. 30 minutes. Now, let me give you some perks on it. It translates, man. By the time I load in and get into my computer, like, my shift is supposed to start at like a 10 a.m., right? I might pull up in my team chat at like 10:05, 10:10, right? The smarter ones would know that, like, yo, this dude been here for an hour already, right? The smarter one's like, oh yeah, this dude been here for an hour. He don't listen to calls, all of that. The other ones would be oblivious. Just be, oh, this man's late. All right, yeah, right, I'm late for sure. I answered your email already, but it's just like, it works in other ways. We can go back to the woman thing, man. When I don't get involved with the woman with a bunch of mess, like even adding them, like it could be platonic. Like if it's not a business, I'm gonna keep it real with you. If I'm not looking for t-shirts and you don't sell t-shirts at a competitive price and you just happen to be local and I see relation, I don't even want no problems, man. I don't even, that's not even me. Furthermore, that wouldn't even align with the person that I say I am. All right. So we're going to build up with that. Now, number 2, and I'm going to build off of what I was just talking about with women, right? You have to hold yourself responsible for the penalties of going against your morals, your codes, and your rules. So one thing I never got, and I think is super duper 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 corny. Number 1 is you're not going to catch me in no side chat or on not no paper trail saying something corny to a woman, period. I might think it, never gonna say it, right? But if you did, like a woman can't show me where she was like, "Yo, I'm not into you," or "No, thank you," and I think it's corny for a guy to like go off on a woman on that. Like, "Yo, I think you're beautiful." "Oh, I'm not interested." "Oh, you ugly." Like, what? How does that make sense? How does that make sense, bro? If I'm a person who, even in a situation, and this goes back to what I was just talking about, right, with the women, right? I add somebody, they're in a relationship, or it's complicated or something, right? And later on it turns to be I'm in a relationship with them and it be complicated with somebody else. I can't be mad at the woman because I saw it coming. So that leads me to a quote, man. Let me go try to pull up this quote real quick, man. My man Milton Katasilis, I believe it's Russian. Within the problem lies the solution, right? So it's just like I go back to me, right? I use me as an example with a date. And bro, if you go and you date a girl who like all she posts is like twerking video and like, yo, I ain't taking no shots at nobody. I'm just offering some introspect and I'm trying to use me, right? Use the male side, right? You see a girl on social media, she's single, first of all. Okay, first qualifier. Second one. I'm trying to get right with like being of the flesh and the sex and things of that nature spiritually. Bro, sometimes I get on social media and I'll be like, oh my gosh, the flesh, the flesh. Man, if you go and like a chick's pictures and all she's showing is like, and this is no disrespect, her body, and she twerking in every picture, and she's saying things like, I saw this post today. No respectable woman is gonna tell social media how like turned on she is. So somebody told me, so yo, I be seeing crazy stuff from women like, yo, I'm the type to do this and this and this and this. Y'all know what I'm saying for my adult audience. And I just be like, even though that's kind of like, oh, that's kind of like turn on, I'm still able to realize like, yo, bro, like if you get into that, you gonna be into that. You gonna get with her, and if you're not okay with her continuing to show her body off and whatnot, how can you get mad at her? Bro, she clearly showed you who she was, bro. You got to either take that for what it's worth or either it's on you, right? Like I got this other thing. I'm gonna use myself again. Like when it comes to things, right? So like I hear a lot of dudes, and I'm walking a thin line, but I feel confident in what I'm gonna say, right? A lot of dudes who be like, "Yo, I won't date a woman who," and these be, first of all, I want to clarify this by saying I don't think it's right because the men I hear say this, they themselves have kids and they not married, but they be like, "Yo, I don't want to date a woman with kids or more than one kid." Now I agree, but for a different situation. I agree because of character selection. So like, and this is just me, man. I'm just keeping it real, man. Like, I don't believe in divorce. I haven't been married, but I don't believe in divorce. If you've been divorced 3 times, I'm probably not gonna tread that kind of water. Like, it would have to be a situation to where I see like. For me, you have a different spiritual understanding, or you kind of like using God and the scripture to lead you into your relationships going forward. Then I would be like, okay, cool. You can have how many kids ever, but if you're not on that tip, and like you've been divorced a bunch of times, I'm just not even gonna dive into that water. And like I'm disciplined to the point, and I heard, and this goes back to morals and stuff. Like I realize that if you're attracted to somebody, like the actual art of being intimate with somebody, like let's keep it real, bro. That joint is between like 5 and 15 minutes. I'm able to pause and be like, yo, what else are you gonna go through outside of those little 5 or 15 minute instances? Nah, I'm good. You feel what I'm saying? And it's not to judge nobody, man. I don't believe in divorce, so I would be a fool to rush into something that might not have a high chance of going with what I agree with. And if I don't, I have to take responsibility for it and accept it. You know, another big thing of gaining personal responsibility is like understanding society, how they look at things, and accepting how they look at things. So, for instance, like, right, so this is a true story, right? So I had a friend, and this was back when I was in college, and I went to a college to where like you would get on the expressway, but once you exited the expressway, it was this long country road you had to drive to actually get to the campus, right? So he, due to where he was working, would have to take this home every day, and you know and anybody could probably notice this when it comes to like traffic schedules and people who live in the same area, like you have a high probability if you're leaving a job or a workplace and you're going the same direction as someone is like seeing that person every day of the week. Y'all are heading the same direction at the same time. So he had this person who was in a truck, and he used to always complain about how this one person would slow up and cause the traffic on this 2-lane road to always be like slow. So he was just riding her tail. And like I kind of feel him because I've been in those situations where it be one person who cause like all the traffic to be slow, and then you get up on them and realize like it's nothing. They just looking around, they in la la land. So anyway, one day he comes home late, and he was a white guy. He was kind of red, and I asked him what happened. He said, "Man, I was on my way home from work, and this cop just shot out of nowhere and pulled me over." And he said the cop pulled me over and was like, "Hey man, is there any reason that you tailgate this person every single day?" Hear the story. I'm not making this up. And the guy was like, "Well, she's slow, you know what I mean? She's slowing down traffic and she's driving really slow." Da, 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 da. Long story short, it was the cop's wife, and she had a kid, his newborn kid, who was in the car. So even though she was like slowing down traffic and everything, society, the way they're gonna look at that is like, yo, you're a jerk because you're tailgating a woman with the kid in the car, a newly born in the car. So the cop wrote him a ticket for tailgating or whatnot, and he stopped doing that. But my whole thing was, in that situation, if you think within yourself and selfish kind of reasons, like, yeah, man, I'm doing everybody a favor. Why don't she get out the way? Da, 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 da. This goes back to what we're gonna talk about next week: holes in our socks. But once you realize, well, she's driving slow because it's not that she can't drive, she got a newborn baby on board, right? And furthermore, her husband's a cop, right? Um, you realize that that might not be acceptable in that situation. You got to take responsibility. What, you gonna get mad at the baby? I think we all have a heart. So you have to take responsibility for the consequences for when you go against being disciplined, because even with that, just be patient, bro. Like, that's like people all the time. Like, I be loving when people pass my car and then I meet them at the light, then they don't want to look at you, right? I'm like, yo, what's up, bro? All right, number three, right? And this goes into really us being arrogant, having too much confidence in our own abilities and what we can do. Um, have reasonable expectations of everything. Be reasonable. Sometimes our selfishness and our entitlement can make us like unreasonable, right? Use me again. We'll talk dating, right? Bro, like, as I talk to like the women in my life who like help me like spiritually and like be a man of principle and whatnot, I realize that the hunter must hunt. But I really typically consider myself more of a shy, laid back guy. Like, I'm not gonna be over aggressive when it comes to approaching a woman unless I see certain signs. Now, I'm dealing with that, right? But my whole thing is all of that to say, like, when it comes to speaking and approaching women, I try to approach women who I think that I have a confidence, or at least in my class where I'm on fair ground, to where they're not going to be able to shut me down, right? So I'm going to keep it real with you. Before I got plant-based and like started getting my weight right, bro, you can't approach a woman with a six-pack and be like, oh, she's bad, and you're like 200 pounds, 300 pounds. Now, I wasn't 300 pounds, but I'm just saying, how does that make sense? How can you get mad at the woman when she says, nah, I'm not interested, or giggles at you or something? But what can you do? You could take accountability, control the controllable, CTC, go get in shape, change your diet. So then you can approach these girls with more confidence when you run up on them. You know what I mean? And that's just one little example, right? Let's talk. I see this like all the time, man. And I'm gonna get into this on another show, but people be like, yo, I'm gonna pray to God that this year I'm gonna see a 5-figure income, and I claim it. And I'm just like, it doesn't work like that, right? It just don't work like that. Um, what actions are you taking? First of all, if you even gonna get God involved, we can go back to scripture. You got to show him that you're a good steward of a little before you trust it with a lot. If you want to bring God into it, if you're a believer, that's number one. But the other, like, bigger thing is like, that's just an unreasonable expectation. And people, I feel, when it comes to religion, have unreasonable beliefs and expectations. When my grandmother was getting sick and was going to pass, bro, I was praying, please don't let my grandma die. But when she passed, I was like, well, she's lived a healthy life. My grandmother's been through a lot. She's taught me a lot. She's helped me to become the person I am. She's had a healthy life. It's probably more tedious for her to live than it is for her to just pass away. So it wasn't like I was mad at God. Oh, he's not real. Oh, he doesn't. It doesn't work like that. We have to have reasonable expectations. You know, I was just talking to one of my guy friends about like when people aren't comfortable looking at their credit, and I've been this person before, many times over, but when people aren't comfortable looking at their credit or be like they don't know what their credit is, nah, you got some idea what your credit is. You just not trying to see that joy. And so you'll be in a situation like that, right? Don't know what your credit is. Go to the car lot, try to get a car or a loan and fail, and now you're all like down on yourself. But you're not thinking about that $12,000 tax return, right? Now that's another. I'm joking, but it's just like you're not reasonable. You don't have a reasonable expectation. New Year's resolutions, like I've totally like strayed away from New Year's resolutions completely for the simple fact that it's like unreasonable. Like, yo, you've been eating unhealthy your whole life, and you think like just because the calendar changes a date, all of a sudden you're gonna be into this super disciplined person. You're just gonna lose all this weight and go to the gym. Like the gyms, like they live on that. That's a first quarter cash in for these businesses, man. What are you talking about? All these devices and everything get bought up. But we don't realize like it's not because we even need to work at. We need to change our mindset and understand that it took us work and time to get to a place where we may not like. It's gonna take us some work and time to get up out of that. All right. So number 3 is to have reasonable expectations. 3 things to help you to become more personably responsible and to practice personal responsibility. Number 1, set you some principles, morals, rules, guidelines, standards, whatever that you will abide by no matter what, and require high discipline. Number 2, deal with the consequence, because we're not looking for perfection. We're looking for effort, right? Deal with the consequences when you go against your principles and your rules and whatnot, because even in that self, it will reinforce the reasons you need to follow and abide by them, right? Number 3, set reasonable expectations. Reasonable expectations mean you're going to fail things that you're doing for the first time. Reasonable expectations mean if you go for something outside of where you're currently at, you're probably not going to obtain it, but you could get there. CTC, control the controllables. This has been episode 409, PR. Yo, y'all keep y'all head up. We're going to try to get back with the video episodes next week. I don't want to keep y'all too long. I love y'all. Yo, if nobody's ever told you, I already know. Sometimes you just need somebody to believe in you. If nobody's told you they believe in you, I believe in you. Keep your head up. Yo, go follow my man Mamba on Instagram as well. That guy Mamba. Until next week, I love y'all. Stay up. Yeah, yeah.